This right here is the Iqunix Super 1+1 keyboard. It is manufactured by Iqunix and will be released soon under the Iqunix Super series keyboard lineup. 1+1. I know what you'll probably be thinking, what a unique name in terms of naming a keyboard. Well, at least that was my first impression when I've heard about this keyboard. For those who've never heard of Iqunix before, here's a little trivia for you. They are a keyboard manufacturer based in Shenzhen, China, which was founded in 2014. During that time, their main focus was on providing a better pre-built keyboard to the market. Moving on, Iqunix recently launched their latest project, named Iqunix Super, which shifted the focus more towards making a custom mechanical keyboard. Fast forward to today, and Iqunix has released a couple of keyboards under the Iqunix Super series lineup, such as the Zonex 75 and the Tilly 60, and those keyboards are still in the group buy phase. You can check them out if you want to. Now back to the main topic. The Super 1+1 is a TKL keyboard with an 89 key layout made from an aluminum case, and it is sold as a barebone kit. The barebone kit will cost you for $369 for the tri-mode PCB and $349 for the wired PCB options. This Super 1+1 keyboard will be sold in group buy format. The group buy will be live from September 1st until September the 30th. According to the early timelines shared by Iqunix, the production of this 1+1 will start right after the group buy ends, and the estimated shipping date is in November 2023. Since this keyboard is a barebone kit, switches and keycaps won't be included in the kit. However, Iqunix is kind enough to include this and CWK Theme keycaps as a free gift if you place your orders within the first 7 days starting from the group buy launch date. The default package for the kit consists of a keyboard case, PCB, FR4 plate by default, a bunch of foam, a gasket set, a set of stabilizer, a screwdriver, a keycaps and switch puller, and a braided coil USB Type-C cable with an aviator. As I mentioned earlier, no switches or keycaps will be included in the barebone kit. You will need to add them as extras if you want to include them into the mix. The overall design of this 1+1 keyboard is quite unique. The right section of the keyboard really caught my eye. From first glance, I thought the keyboard can be taken apart piece by piece. But upon closer inspection, I noticed the middle part of the case is made out of a single piece of aluminum, and that completely shut off my imagination. Anyway, let's take a closer look at the case. This particular catchy colorway is called the primary. This primary color uses the electrostatic coating or E-coat finishing, which provide the smooth texture finishing. And there's also a few other color options to choose from. The best part is, regardless of which color options, all of them will be using the premium E-coat finishing. A quick inspection of my sample doesn't reveal any imperfections or whatsoever. I do hope that they retain this level of QC on the final production unit. As I mentioned earlier, when viewed from the top, this keyboard looks like the right side of the keyboard can be detached and used as a singular unit. Apparently it is not. Onto the right side of the keyboard, you can see a different color combination has been used on each block. And there's a blocker with Iqunix branding placed right between the navigation section and the arrow section. And there's an indicator LED located at the left side of the top case. With this primary color option, you can clearly see the different parts has been sandwiched together, making the keyboard whole. Looking at the back, you can find this backplate with an engraved 1+1 logo. From this angle, you can clearly see that the bottom part can be detached separately. What differentiates this keyboard from other TKL keyboards is the case design. This 1+1 casing is divided into 3 parts: the top part of the case, the middle part, and the bottom part. Although this is not a new thing in the custom mechanical keyboard scene, I've seen this 3-part case design before, but this design approach is not something we get to see every day. Let's take a closer look on that. Now let's start with the bottom part. You can see that it is slightly elevated towards the back, hence the 6-degree timing angle. The back plate is mounted on this part right here with 4 head screws. Flipping this part around, you can see there's a daughter board for the Type-C connector placed on the left side. Moving on to the middle part of the case, this part right here houses the inner parts of the keyboard. Flipping this part around, you can see there's a perfectly made cutout to slot in the battery, and the battery will be sandwiched between the middle case and the bottom case. Lastly, the top part of the case. I think this is the most interesting part and unique at the same time. The top case is separated into 3 sections that makes out the whole keyboard. The white colored section houses the alphanumeric and function keys. The red colored section, or the second section of the top case, consists of the control keys and the navigation keys. The blue colored section houses the arrows or directional keys. At the back of it, there's another daughter board for the indicator LED. And as for the PCB, my sample is a tri-mode hot swappable PCB with RGB, meaning I could either use this 1+1 keyboard with a 2.4 GHz connection or a Bluetooth 5.1 connection, or even a wired connection. Since this PCB right here is a tri-mode variant, any configuration on it will need to be done strictly to Iqunix firmware. As for the tri-mode PCB, a 1+1 keyboard kit will be included with 2 units of 2000 mAh battery as default. According to Iqunix, the keyboard should be able to last up to 3000 hours with Bluetooth connected and all lighting turned off, including the indicator light. There's also a wired version for the PCB. Another thing worth pointing out is the wired PCB variants will only work with QMK. Same with the top part of the case, the PCB is divided into two sections. They are connected together using this ribbon cable. And this PCB will support the PCB mounted stabilizer. This keyboard uses a gasket mount approach, which is quite popular these days. On paper, the gasket mount should provide a fairly decent amount of soft cushioning feedback to your fingers while making the keyboard sound fuller. Enough of the specs and whatnot, it's time to hear how this keyboard sounds. For this test, I'll be using this Moonstone switch by Iqunix. The terms we love using the most: marbly and creamy, and it is to be expected with all foam included. With this configuration, there's no hollow sounding and there's literally zero pinging can be heard during the test. So what do I think of this keyboard? First of all I'm about to say is my personal opinion, which is based on my thoughts alone. Let's start with the design of this keyboard. I'm not gonna lie, I really like the overall design of this Super 1+1, and the overall build quality on this 1+1 is solid. However, I think there's still room for improvement in certain aspects. The disassembly process for this keyboard feels like taking apart a sophisticated device. Accessing the inner parts alone requires me to unscrew 17 pieces of head screws. Changing the foam configuration on this is not going to be a breeze process if you want to remove or add a foam, for example. Especially for a guy like me who loves to change the configuration of my keyboard that often, I can just imagine it's gonna be quite a hassle. And I didn't like the execution of the case bumpons, which is placed right beneath the case feet, meaning you need to remove the bumpons every time you want to take the keyboard apart just to gain access to the inner section of the keyboard. And as for the price of this keyboard, starting from $349, well, it's not something that I would consider cheap. However, the packaging, the unboxing experience, the keyboard itself, and the premium accessories provided within the kit. I mean, take a look at these well-crafted accessories. And the included coil cable with the aviator alone will cost me somewhere around $20 to $40 in my country. That alone justifies why this keyboard carries such a steep price tag. If you are on a tight budget, I would advise you to stay away from this keyboard. But if you're looking for a keyboard that has a unique design, you are in the right place. Everything about this keyboard feels premium. If this is not premium, I don't know what is. Lastly, with all the bells and whistles, I still think this keyboard is not perfect. And I don't think there's going to be a perfect keyboard for me down the road. There's always going to be an imperfection here and there. But then again, it all comes down to your personal preferences. Entering this segment, Iqunix can be considered quite new, and I'm excited to see which direction they are heading into. Judging by the interest check post on their website, I'm seeing a lots of cool keyboards that's gonna be released soon. Anyway, if you think this Iqunix Super 1+1 keyboard is worth the price, you can head down to the group buy landing page using the link I've provided in the description down below. That's it from me this time. I love you guys and thank you so much for supporting this channel. It means a lot to me. Peace and have a good one.